And just looking at some of the the matchups, the halfback matchups. I mean, they've fielding Bernard Foley. He's still a little bit wet behind the ears, but I mean, he's shown that he can produce the goods. Nick Phipps, would you have gone with him ahead of Nick White?
Yeah, I think perhaps it was a little bit of a panic reaction by the Wallaby selectors. When they've been beaten by 31 points at Eden Park, perhaps a little bit of panic station sort of set in. I'm not sure. I think that perhaps the Boks could have a little bit of an edge in that department, given that Australia have changed both their 9 and their 10. South Africa at least have an element of consistency at the moment, because Ruan Pienaar is reasonably safely installed at number 9, while Fourie du Preez is absent, injured, unfortunately. And Morne Steyn, of course, should fit in reasonably seamlessly. He does know the Boks structures pretty well, and is an experienced player. So maybe the Boks can get a little bit of an edge there. No guarantees, but it is possible.
Fullbacks, Willie Leroux, Israel Folau. You wrote earlier, I mean, that's something to look forward to.
It is. It's the first time at test level that they actually go head-to-head, because last year Willie Leroux played both championship games against Australia, which of course the Boks won both times in Brisbane and at Newlands. But he was at right wing on both those occasions. Zane Kirshner was still the fullback at the time. That seems years ago, doesn't it? But he was the fullback at the time. A very different animal, of course, to Willie Leroux, who subsequently made the fullback slot his own and just brought such a new dimension to the Boks. Folau could be a big threat, of course. I mean, he's just such a strong runner. I have a feeling that he's going to try to puncture the Bok midfield. They're going to try and get him sort of bursting through from the back quite a lot to test Jan Serfontein, to see whether he's positionally and defensively up to the task of keeping someone like Folau at bay. If he does get introduced sort of through midfield to try and burst his way across the advantage line, which he does so well. So that's going to be an interesting duel. I think Willie Leroux will still come into his own for his little dinks, and he's just great at sort of looking up for a split second, seeing where the sort of gaps lie, and knowing how to exploit space. So that could be a fantastic duel.
I mean, obviously, one area I'm really looking forward to is the breakdown. You've got someone like Hooper against Francois Lowe.
Yes. Yeah, a good one. I mean, 2 really quality fetches. The Boks helped in this instance by the fact that they've picked Marcel Coetzee, who of course has played plenty of rugby at number 6 for the Sharks. So he's used to playing more to the ball these days, which could be very useful against the Australians, because it means he goes into battle with Francois Lowe against an Aussie sort of fetching specialist in Michael Hooper. So it's almost sort of 2 against 1. That said, of course, a lot of the Wallaby forwards generally are good poachers by nature, and you always expect the hookers to play a little bit of a role in the fetching department. So Adrian Strauss will be expected to do a little bit of burrowing and creating some turnovers. But hopefully again the Boks can perhaps just get a little bit of an edge there, as we are effectively fielding 2 fetchers to their 1 in many respects.
I mean, do you think the Wallabies are even missing a guy like Pocock? I mean, the way that Toop has sort of risen.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment you've got to say probably not. I mean, Pocock is a terrific player, as we've seen before, and he's been a thorn in Bok flesh in the past, make no mistake. But the way Hooper's been playing of late, I mean, we forget that in that game where they got absolutely walloped at Eden Park, he still put up, I thought, a terrific personal performance. Pride runs in that jersey, runs deep in him, and he kept going right to the end. And remember when the Wallabies had that little bit of a resurgence in the last few minutes, where they scored a couple of tries to make the scoreboard look a bit more respectable. Hooper was still very much a sort of a focal point of that. He showed great sort of ticker and stamina, I think, in sort of managing to last the pace of the game. Apart from having a really terrific duel with Richie McCaw, he was still involved in a lot of the Wallaby attacking play and kept going right until the 80th minute, which tells you a little bit about the threat he's going to pose to the Springboks as well.
Okay. Lastly, Rob, what can viewers do if they want to follow the game live?
Well, we've obviously got live scoring on Sport 24. We'd love readers to send us their pictures from stadiums to help us capture the atmosphere of the occasion. Send them to us and follow our live scoring. We give you sort of minute by minute what's going on in each match, and you can follow us on www.sport24.co.za.